Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Joe and today I'm going to show you how I built this beautiful Mitre Saw stand with my own bare hands and grit. All of it is using recycled material that I was just going to get thrown away, and I'm pretty happy with the result, I'm not going to lie. We've got built-in storage down here on casters and even an inline stop block so we can make consistent cuts. I'm going to start talking and show you all the trials and tribulations through this build. Let's get into it.
What an idiot that guy is. Well, hello everyone. So, what you see me doing at the moment is cutting down all of my leg blanks. So I'm using a square and a circular saw for this to keep all my cuts nice and accurate. I will just quickly mention what I am wearing in this. I came straight after work one day, so I had to turn it inside out. That's my shirt I'm talking about. So, you'll have to excuse me for that. I actually think I look pretty cool in this, so I might have to try this a few more times. But yeah, that's basically it at the moment. I'm just cutting down all my legs, like I say, to get them to the right size.
It's raining, hallelujah, it's raining, amen. Gotta get absolutely soaking wet, it's raining.
I wish I had words to explain what was going through my head there, but you know, just singing my favourite songs, I can't really explain any more about that. What you see me doing at the moment is fixing all the legs together. So I've got those cross pieces with the two long bits of my legs. I keep the level with me to make sure that these things are going together nice and straight, and I'm just screwing them in nice and dirty with the impact driver. It's only a bit of workshop furniture, so I'm not bothered about it being too pretty.
So we're getting there. Kind of know what it's going to look like, don't we? Right, so we have some more free wood. Managed to salvage my sheet of OSB, two lots of melamine there, and another little offcut there of OSB. Perfect. This is currently cost me £0, so we are doing well. I have added one extra leg here because I thought that 4 was going to end up being the right amount. I'm a little bit limited until the Mitre Saw does arrive, which hopefully will be soon, until I can put the top countertop on, because obviously I want it dropped down for the Mitre Saw to fit in nice and flush. But what we can do is we can put the bottom shelves in and add some more supports to make it nice and sturdy, and then it's really starting to look like a workbench. So let's do that then. Right, so I've done my math for sizes, how it's going to fit in nice and flush in between my legs. So now I've just got to try and mark it nice and neatly and cut it neatly, which is not my specialty, I'll tell you that. So I'm just going to send this and hope for the best that it turns out not completely wonky.
So I just winged it. Like I say, I probably should have used a straight edge if I was really bothered, but in all fairness I wasn't. It didn't help having to kick that hoover across the room. I need to make some sort of dolly for that to go on, I think. It worked, I got it cut, and I was pretty happy with the results in the end.
That's not great things. I don't know what I'm doing. Literally fake it until I make it. So I have a funny feeling that I'm going to make myself look very silly trying to get this all to fit. So enjoy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That went a lot easier than I was expecting. I guarantee it's not level. Well, actually, no, it's definitely down here. We need to put some packets in. Let's do that now.
So like I said, I was actually quite surprised with just how level it all did fit in. To be fair, I'm adding packers here now, but there really is no point because the whole thing's going to be moved out and in a few times before we're finished. But it was worth doing just to test my skills.
It's level enough. So I'm going to put screws in either side on the far end ones because I know those legs are in the right position. The middle ones, they might have to move and everything when I put the countertop on, and obviously the mitre saw, so I'm going to leave them until the end. It's strong enough as it is at the moment.
So what you see me doing there is just countersinking some screw holes so I can sink some, I think 40mm screws through the melamine into the legs. I just countersunk them just so they wouldn't be in the way if I ever want to store stuff in those shelves, to be honest.
Oh yes! Hey! After that. Right, so I need to measure in between here to put some supports in there for the countertop to go onto. I'm probably going to measure each one individually because they're probably going to be like a hairline difference in each one because I am not perfect. I've gone a little bit of the longer side because I can take more away, but obviously can't have back. See if we can get it spot on first time, eh? Do a draw my line first. Perfect. So now we'll do. After that.
So now's probably as good a time as any to explain some of the limitations I have in this shop. Obviously the main one is it's not very big. You know, I'm working with a limited amount of space here. But the major issue is the fact there is, although I have lighting, I don't have any power. So I am completely reliant on cordless tools. So that's my mitre saw is going to be cordless and my table saw. I'm not too bothered about this because I actually quite like the idea and the flexibility of having cordless tools. However, it would be nice to be able to plug in every so often.
Best fit so far.
So obviously being very proud of myself with that one, but I did cheat slightly using the planer there. But to be fair, it worked well and it took the perfect amount of material away, so it fit in beautifully.
I don't have a pocket hole jig, at least on me, so I'm going to have to toenail screw from in here into there. Let's give it a go. Where are my screws? Convenient.
So after finding the mystery of the lost screws, I carried on trying to screw in these supports. Watching this back is just embarrassing. I can't believe how much I struggled here. I really could have done with the pocket hole jig, but I didn't have it on me. I proper made myself look silly here. As you'll find out, there was an easy solution, but it took me too long to find it out. I hope you enjoy me just being a plonker, really.
Catching feelings, I might stay, but
Why didn't I do this before? Why is it always the simple things? There's going to be some super easy way of doing this as well.
Yes, Joe. Yes, there
Why
is.
am I being stupid? I can just pull this out.
So for you guys, it really didn't take that long for me to realise that, but for me, it was the best part of 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm not impressed. So after being nearly taken out by my leg, I was able to far easier get in behind and sink some screws in to my supports through my legs. And here we are doing it to the rest of the legs. Like I say, a lot easier with it pulled out slightly. I'm just glad I got there in the end, if I'm honest. I'll be honest, I still had issues. It was still not completely easy. I definitely should have drilled in some pilot holes, but, well, you live and you learn, don't you? Next time I will. Like I say, I still toenailed some where I couldn't get in at the angle. It was me being lazy more than anything. But, like I say, we got it there. It was straight enough, and I was happy with the result in the end.
Ow! Right, so the day has come. We finally got the saw. So now I'm going to get this open and try and work out all the measurements and stuff to get this to fit flush in between here, and then we can work on getting the countertops on, and we're really getting into the final stages of having this complete. I'm so excited. Let's go.
So again, to no fault of the brand of this Mitre Saw, but again, it was about 20 minutes of trying to put this all together. I got there in the end. It's pretty well built. It's not the most expensive Mitre Saw in the world, but it seems to be pretty strong, sturdy, and I've used it since, and it's a good bit of kit, to be fair.
So I wasn't completely using my head, I don't think, when I was thinking about planning this out. Obviously, it's a sliding Mitre Saw, so it goes back and forward. So I'm going to have to pull this out a fair bit for it to be able to actually move.
Another mistake, Joe. Who would have thought, eh? So once I was happy with the position of the Mitre Saw, I secured my two middle legs into the shelving below. Used countersinks for this again, or just putting in some 40mm screws. That was perfectly strong enough. Obviously, I had to make sure that there was enough room for the Mitre Saw to fit in between, as you see me doing there. Once I was happy with that, I was able to measure the countertops on top, and then secure that last leg into place. And here I am now measuring onto my sheets of OSB to fit onto the legs behind me. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, these sheets were all second-hand or reused then. They're all going to get thrown away, so they're all a bit odd shapes. There were some nails I had to work around and stuff like that, but it was completely worth it to be able to literally do this, other than buying some fasteners and stuff like that. I did it for free, which was, well, ideal. Again, I did these freehand. I was actually pretty happy with how these turned out. They were better than a lot of the other ones. So I did the middle one first, got that fit in, make sure it fit between those legs nicely with a bit of room. And then I was able to work on the left side and the right side. I really did make sure I was cutting nice and straight here. I took a lot longer than what I did on the beginning, to be fair. It was worth it though to get it nice and flush and fit perfectly. And after getting the nod of approval there, it was time to work on getting the Mitre Saw inset into this stand. So what I'm doing here is measuring down 3 inches, which was the depth of the Mitre Saw. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put clamps down on these lines so that I can incrementally put the Mitre Saw up and down and get it as perfectly level with the base as I can. As you'll see, this took a few attempts, but for me it was the perfect way of doing it, and it worked really well in the end. So I obviously sped up the process for you. In all, it probably took me 10 minutes to get it perfectly in line, this was probably the part of the product I was the most worried about, was getting this perfect. But it wasn't that difficult in all honesty, and like I say, 10 minutes and I was there. I obviously checked that everything was level, and it fit beautifully in the end. So what I'm doing now is marking on the legs where that OSB comes up to. This is so that when I remove the legs, I'm able to put it back in the same place while I put my brackets on. So after having a quick snack of my favourite food, which is wood screws, I secured these brackets into place, going into the legs first, and then securing them with nuts and bolts into the OSB. I decided to go this route because it gives me a bit more flexibility if I ever have to change the Mitre Saw or have to change the adjustments if everything ever goes out of whack for whatever reason. It just seemed like the best option rather than just screwing it into place. And here is just a close-up on the other side of how I attach these brackets. Like I say, it was really simple, and it was definitely the best option, bolting them in. I don't regret doing that at all. You get this face if you buy cheap drill bits. I definitely learnt my lesson here, and I will definitely go out and buy some better ones. I had real issues going through this OSB with these drill bits I had, as you can see by some of the facial expressions, which aren't, well, they're just not that flattering. And well, after I had a bit of a dance, it was time to work on the, well, I don't know what to call this. I think it's stop block rail, I guess. To do this, I just used these pieces of 2x3 and I used angle brackets to secure them into the OSB. What I did is I used a level along the fence of my Mitre Saw and clamped it to these 2x3s to keep it all in the right plane then, I guess you would say. This worked really well. I was able to secure it, and now when I'm using this Mitre Saw, I can create consistent cuts with a stop block. I was actually really happy. Again, this was another project that I was a bit worried about doing, but when I got to it, it was simple and it's really effective. So again, I used nuts and bolts to secure these, again, just for the simple fact of adjustability. Now the fence is more likely to go out of whack occasionally, so I'd like the easiness of just unbolting it and realigning it. So I decided now was a good time to get the first coat of protection on these OSBs. I did give them a good sand down before. I think I went for about 3 or 4 coats of this satin poly in the end. It was definitely worth doing. Obviously OSB is quite rough, so it's nice to have my workpieces now just gliding across this table. Well, I can only apologise to any children that might be watching. I know that will probably give you nightmares for the rest of your life. Right here you see me struggling with this pocket hole jig, which I did manage to find in the end. This is, well, what I'm doing now is kind of building like a face frame, but we'll also give it a bit more structural support in the front and make it look a little bit better. So to do this, I just put pocket holes in the ends of these boards and attached them to my legs, just to, like I say, square everything up and make it look a little bit neater. Using clamps here to get these boards into place were invaluable, really useful to just be able to easily get in behind and pocket screw them into the legs. I mean, I say it was easy, I still struggled like hell to get these pocket holes in. It was just the angle I was at. But we got there. Trial and error always gets you there in the end. So here comes the fun part of masking everything off and then getting ready to paint. Like I say, I know it's shop furniture and it doesn't really matter, but I wanted to try and keep it kind of nice. I just had some of this old fence paint laying around which needed to be used, so I thought it would be perfect to put onto these boards. The problem with it being a water-based fence paint is that it doesn't go on that thick, and it definitely took, I think it was about 3 or 4 coats. So here now you see me putting together the drawers for the bottom. For this first drawer I did use pocket holes, but as you can see in a minute I didn't have the right size screws and a lot of them were just going right through the bottom. It worked, and like I say, I wasn't too bothered about the look of them, but for the rest of them I just butt screwed them all together. Pocket holes are nice to use because it conceals obviously the joinery, but in all honesty, again, like I keep saying, it is shop furniture and it doesn't matter too much. Where I could, I did use these little orange squares to keep everything as square as I can, and they work pretty well in the end.
So I think I might have underestimated the weight of this thing. I have no idea if these are actually going to fit.
And obviously when I say fit, I mean hold the weight of these boxes, but they did. They were actually a lot stronger than they looked, and they held up magnificently. And just like that, we are done. please enjoy the beautifully filmed cinematic masterpiece, which is my recording of my Mitre Saw Stand. Thank you very much for watching.